2012 has been an absolutely amazing year for gaming, and I've decided to put together a top 5 list for games that I absolutely loved. There's going to be probably another list for indie games, but this is going to be the big games from absolutely huge publishers, like the big landmark games, if you will. Obviously, these are subject to personal taste, but here are the ones that I absolutely loved, and I'd encourage all of you guys to go check out. First up in number 5 is the rather excellent Spec Ops: The Line that sees you set in a rather sand-ravaged Dubai, where you're originally entering to help the locals and find out what the hell's going on. It isn't long, however, until you're in more of a battle of survival, not only against the elements themselves, but against the locals and various militias. The game features absolutely fantastic scenery, and there's something about being in absolutely huge high rises and seeing sand sweep in against your enemies and fighting in absolutely massive casinos while you're hearing that rock music playing in the background. It's just excellent. The environment itself makes an absolute huge part of the game where you can get literally swallowed up in sandstorms that just seem to go on for miles. The game's narrative is tight, with excellent voice acting from the entire cast and good writing as well. I have to admit I'm quite a big fan of the combat of this one as well, and it doesn't ever feel like the combat is just kind of unfair. It feels like the battles may be tough in some cases, but completely and utterly winnable, but at the same time a good challenge. I also really like the cover system and how the regenerative health does work really well on this particular game. As the storyline progresses, you begin to realize more and more that there's something deeply wrong with the whole setting, and there are various moral choices that you can make throughout the game. It actually does them extremely well, and by the time the ending itself comes around, you'll actually start to realize that every decision you've made in the game does make some lick of sense. I encourage everyone to try out Spec Ops: The Line. It's really good, even if you're not that into shooters normally, as this game does not fit the typical third-person shooter mold that a lot of people are kind of getting sick of right now. The game itself is absolutely fantastic, and I encourage you all to pick it up and try it out. At number 4 for me on 2012's list is Hitman Absolution. This was one of those titles I really was not expecting to enjoy as much as I did, but after just a few minutes with the game I knew it was going to be an absolutely quality gaming experience. It was also noteworthy that it was actually fairly cheap upon release, and indeed you still get a free game with it, Hitman Sniper Challenge, which isn't exactly a full price title, but still it's a bonus, right? This is extremely well put together game. It has excellent voice acting, writing, graphics, and it's just an overall enjoyable gaming experience. The PC version is also pretty damn fantastic, might I add. It has excellent combat and, more to the point, allows you to play the game in a couple of different ways. You can go the lethal approach, in which case you're a little bit penalised for that. I'm not sure if I enjoy that aspect of the fact that you can't exactly go murdering everyone and that you get a somewhat penalty for that, but I suppose it does make sense. On the other hand, you can also go super stealthily and make that kind of the focus. You can basically go whatever you want. It's not like you are forced to go one approach or the other, but the game certainly does encourage you to go a more stealthy route. It's absolutely amazing. I love the graphics and so on. As I've mentioned on a couple of other videos on this list, I do feel the textures could have been somewhat improved for the PC version, but still they look very good and the game runs absolutely amazing. I very much like the cover system. It feels good and intuitive, and also the accuracy and the bullet time work really well as well. The game does feature a couple of small niggles here and there, and I do wish the enemy AI was a little bit tighter in some areas, but overall, I can't really pick fault with the game, and in my opinion, it is absolutely one of the best games of this year, and I'd encourage you highly to pick it up. Mass Effect 3 takes the third spot on the top list, and it's probably of no surprise that it is in the top 5 for this year. It's an absolutely fantastic gaming experience that, of course, tells the story of Commander Shepard's battle against the Reaper forces. In my opinion, this is an absolutely amazing gaming experience with absolutely fantastic writing, narrative, and of course excellent voice actors and storytelling. It is definitely one of BioWare/EA's best games of this year and for quite a long time. It has a few issues, mostly in my opinion regarding around the multiplayer aspect of the game. I really didn't like that, and I also didn't like the ending of the game, although this was fixed during DLC. The actual storyline and combat are absolutely fantastic, and despite a few decisions I didn't like, mostly to do with the war efforts of the game, I think that could have been handled a little bit differently. In my opinion, the Mass Effect series is one of those games that you just have to play, whether you're into RPGs or not. The action on the game is fantastic. The way the cover system works is phenomenal. The way the storyline is told is really great as well. Indeed, the way the storyline is told is very excellent in that you can basically make different decisions that basically allow different crew members to be alive. Therefore, your playthrough will be most likely very different to my playthrough. And the game isn't simply a choice of light and dark a lot of the time. Renegade options actually make sense rather than, hey, I'm just going to murder all these people because I want renegade points. It really does work quite well. As I've said, the PC version absolutely does have a pretty great port. It probably could have been improved somewhat with graphics, but there you have it. The DLC for this game is actually pretty good as well. I do wish bits of it was included in the base game, but there you have it. So, as I was saying, Mass Effect is an absolutely fantastic experience, and I'd encourage you to play the trilogy if you haven't done so already. At number 2 spot is Dishonored. This game gives you an absolute massive amount of choice. You can go in lethally or non-lethally. You can go in lethally with swords and guns blazing, or you can, for example, go stealthy and lethally with, say, a crossbow, or you can go in non-lethally and you can, say, choke out guards and stealthily, or you can go in long-range stealth with a crossbow, if you so wish, and take them out with sleep darts. It's absolutely amazing with the choice this gives you. And indeed, the game rewards you somewhat if you decide to go the non-lethal approach, and has somewhat different endings depending upon how your playstyle is. The game also features excellent steampunk visuals, and in my opinion, absolutely amazing blend of magic and technology. The very fact of the matter is, it's absolutely amazing to use a teleport around the screen and hide behind things and confuse your enemies, or unleash plague of rats upon them, or see through walls, and goodness knows what else, on top of all the technology that you can get as well. The melee combat is absolutely phenomenal, and in my opinion, normally FPS and melee combat is either hit and miss, but this does it absolutely excellently. Only other game that I can actually say that I really enjoyed the melee aspect of was Condemned, which is a horror game back in the day. In my opinion, this game is absolutely fantastic, and the narrative and the storyline are very tight, and, well, the voice acting is amazing as well. I have to admit, the only somewhat slight criticism I would have of this game, if I had to pick one, would be the graphics. I feel that the textures on the PC version could have been of slightly higher quality, but for the most part they are absolutely amazing, and the visuals and art style are something that, well, in some areas in particular do have an absolutely very impressive look to them. This is an absolutely amazing game, and I'd encourage you to go pick it up. It's of no surprise that the best game of this year, at least for me, was Far Cry 3. The game starts out with you as a holiday maker, and you're, diving from airplanes and having fun with your friends, and then you're all captured and thrown into cages, and after you and your brother escape, you see him shot before your very eyes, and you have to basically crash through the jungle and dive into a river. And then after a few moments, you're tasked with, well, pretty much rescuing all of your friends. It's a gaming experience that you won't forget for quite a long time. You're going to be able to chase animals in the wild and hunt them down, drive around an absolutely massive tropical island, swim in gorgeous oceans, and partake of any missions you so desire, pretty much any way you wish. There are, of course, limitations. The odd mission here and there does require you to go stealthy approach, but if you, for the most part, want to go in all guns blazing, you can, or if you prefer to build your character more stealthily, you also can. The storyline's good, the narrative is excellent, the graphics, as I've mentioned before, are absolutely beautiful, and all the weapons feel excellent. If I had to come across any criticisms for this game, is that I wish your character didn't start out so kick-ass. I wish that he started out a little bit slower, wasn't quite so excellent with guns, and maybe focused a little bit more on, say, bows and arrows and so on, because you come across a really kick-ass weapons really, really quickly. It's a criticism that I've heard a few other people make, but I think it stands up quite well. But other than that, it looks absolutely amazing and it does feel absolutely amazing. Another small criticism I would have to level with this game is that I think it could have maybe looked a little bit better on very, very high-end PCs. But I have a feeling that Ubisoft did not want another reason for people to pirate the game. However, aside from all of that, it's an absolutely fantastic experience, and quite honestly, the first time you take a glider across the island, whether it's day or night or duskfall, which looks amazing by the way, your jaw just drops. Not only because of the aesthetics of the game, but just how absolutely massive the sandbox is that you can play around in. And to be honest with you, you can just get lost in the island and just end up messing around, killing poachers or whatever. It's an absolutely fantastic experience, and I can't wait for more DLC for this title. Highly recommended. I cannot stress this enough. An absolutely fantastic experience that I think everyone should enjoy. As I said, this list had to make a few sacrifices in. I could have easily decided to make this a top 10 list, and notable games that I missed out that I really wish I had not of would be games such as Sleeping Dogs, which is an absolutely fantastic experience. It has a few issues here and there, but is tightly told, and I absolutely loved the game itself. It's basically could be considered an Asian version of GTA, but focuses more on melee combat, particularly at the start of the game, and for the most part, I have to say that the acting, the storyline, and everything else is done excellently and gives you an absolutely beautiful, huge city to wander around in. Next up would have been Darksiders 2. I really loved this game, and there was a few issues with it, particularly on the PC, such as low resolution textures that almost were unforgivable, especially with the resolutions in, say, the options menu. However, overall the storyline was amazing, and I really loved this one. And I'd also lament if I didn't add in Assassin's Creed 3, and of course COD Black Ops 2, which I was actually quite a big fan of. There would have been numerous other ones as well, but as I've said, I couldn't add them all in, and well, there you have it. As I said, look out for another video where I'm going to be going through all the indie games, and there were an absolute plethora of those as well. And it's going to be really difficult for me to choose the top 5 on those, I can tell you that much. Anyway, hopefully 2013 is going to be shaping up to be an absolutely huge year. Early on, of course, we've got games such as Colonial Marines, which I'm basically salivating over right now. So hopefully it's going to be as good a year as 2012. If it is, it's going to be a real treat. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. Hopefully you've enjoyed the video. I'll see you soon. Bye for now.